Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's okay. We get it.
I was like, yes, Lord, come on with the cancellations.
Ooh, we going in it. Now just kidding.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but I'm black. Am I
He's with the best of them. And he's one of my favorite men to emphasize.
that entrance sounds like much more than who I actually am.
My guest of honor is a freelance writer, author, and lifetime book lover. She's a selfless mother and wife that exudes wisdom and grace. She recently served in the healthcare industry for nearly a decade, but she has recently stepped out on faith to start her own business entitled Brave Soul Book Coaching. She works with women, writers, and authors to help them tell their stories, and she's on a mission to share her love of words with the world. It's been said that a picture can speak 1,000 words, but my guest of honor understands that the power of words can shift any atmosphere. Today, my guest of honor is Michelle Emdin. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm great. I love the fact that you love words because you're just like me. I think that God has given us all our certain gifts, and if you have the gift of words, I think that it's pretty amazing how that one thing can like change the way someone feels. So I want to start off by like setting a baseline really quick so that anybody that listens to this can trace your footsteps in the sand. So tell me the beginning, like tell me about your background and where you come from and everything like that.
Well, I'm first generation Nigerian American. And so I'm just really big on culture, and education has always just been like the forefront of my existence. It seems like it's just something that has always been just ingrained in me. But I mean, from an early age, I really felt this pull towards like the creative side. I was always drawn to books and to reading and writing. It's just something that has always been a part of me. And so throughout the years, I've always just tried to find a way to marry the two, to be able to, of course, focus on my education, but then do things that I'm really passionate about, that bring a lot of joy to me. And so, I mean, that's just, I don't really know if that answers the question, but
Yeah, it does.
I've just always been seeking a way to like marry the things that I'm really passionate about so I can do both at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's amazing because you grow up when you're a kid, you do everything you want to do just because you have the freedom to do it, right? But then when you grow up, we let the world tell us what we need to do. We let circumstances and like things come into play that like causes us to like pull away from our creative outlets and things like that. So I'm happy to hear that you say I'm trying to marry the two. I'm trying to marry the two. Yeah.
It's been a journey. A pretty recent one too, but I thank God I'm here.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that then because like there's a lot of people who are struggling when it comes to trying to figure out how to even tell their parents that they don't want to do the things that they set out to do. So tell me a little bit about you talking about the word bravery. Let's talk about what that word means to you and how it materializes in your life right now.
Ooh, that is such a good question. Not even a good question, but a good topic discussion, because I feel like for me, bravery is just something that I try to live by day in and day out, because I used to be someone who struggled with fear a lot. Fear of just the unknown, fear of success, fear of chasing after my dreams. I was just fearful all the time. And it was like around 2017 where I just felt like God was just telling me like, okay, you have to be brave to live the life that you want to live. You can't be, just coward in fear all the time. And so for me, bravery looked like living a life that seemed true to me or felt true to me. And that meant actually pursuing my creative pursuits, like my creative passions. And even though it didn't really make sense, I think maybe to people around me, I didn't really see people around me doing exactly what I was doing. But to me, to be brave was, to live a life that was like worthy of this calling that I felt like God placed on my life.
Yeah.
And so it also meant kind of doing it afraid. There are times where I feel like I don't fully know what I'm doing. And I'm like, is it going to work out the way that, I wanted to work out, but it's also having faith in God and knowing that, He gave me this gift and this passion for a purpose, and He's going to see me through. So just keep doing it, even if it's a little scary at times.
It's a lot of scary, because you are stepping out on faith, and it's like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, regardless of what we choose. But you have to make a decision. So you're seeing it sight unseen, making a decision.
Literally.
Making a decision. And I think it's amazing too that we talk about we're focused on how things will happen or how it's gonna look. When it comes to faith, it really is like we need to shift to focus on the who and who's gonna help us to make it happen, right? So I love that you spoke on that, because like bravery is just making a decision and going with the flow of what it means, of whatever that decision is. So tell me, like, a little bit about why you chose that to be the beginning of your business, like the name that sets your business apart.
For me, I just feel like, again, it goes back to, I felt like the word or the message that God was giving me, just to be brave in every sense or every aspect of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think of the type of like creative I am, and I know that like it took me a while to step into this title or like this role. I was always just trying to play it safe. And I'm like, I know if I was feeling this way, I know that there are countless of other women who might kind of have like one foot in the door and the other like, oh, I don't really know if I'm capable of doing it. I don't know if I can write a book. I don't know if I'm even really a writer, So I just wanted my business to show other women that, okay, this is what bravery looks like. It's doing it even if you don't have all the answers, but just trusting that, you have what it takes. So really, I wanted to create a business that I didn't really see growing up, or even as I was honing my craft.
Yeah. I think it's amazing too that God prepared you for it through being a wife, being a mother, being a friend. Like you're literally nurturing these people in a space where like they are basically being reborn. Like, like it's like it's very scary to like write something and then release it, because you don't know how it's going to be received. But it's almost like you have to like understand that success is completing the task, and it's not the outcome of how people receive it, if that makes sense.
Ooh, that's a bar.
that is my definition of success, to be honest with you. When it comes down to it, if God gave me something, I completed it, I released it, I've already succeeded, because the outcome ain't my business. It's really not. But I do love the fact that God low-key really prepared you for this role, because you've had to be a mother, you had to be a wife, you've had to like be selfless and give of yourself even when you don't have it in you, like, and you had to rely on Him. And like when it comes to coaching, a lot of people have different styles, and like I'm just interested to see like, or to hear about your style, your coaching style.
I'd say that my coaching style is kind of similar to how I would approach parenthood. Not even just parenthood, but I think my relationships in general. I'm the type of person that I'm very nurturing, and I wouldn't say soft-spoken, but I have a very gentle approach with things. I'm not gonna just like beat you over the head and be like, okay, this is what I think you should do, blah blah blah. I kind of want to hear your perspective. I want to see where you're coming from, and then from there, I want to meet you in a way that I feel like you're going to be most receptive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm working with a client who is, I don't know, maybe they finished their manuscript, so they already have like a first draft written or something, and I know that it needs a lot of work. I'm not just gonna come in and say, okay, this manuscript is trash, you need to start all over. I would never do that. I'm definitely going to find the positives and find the things that are working really well that we can salvage. I'm going to of course highlight your strengths, because I don't think that it's effective just to tell someone what they're doing wrong all the time or what they've done wrong, but to highlight what they've done right and just give them encouragement. I really feel like I'm really good at encouraging others. So that's a bit of my coaching style.
Yeah, that's amazing. Look, that we all need that in our life. We all need that. And I love that you don't take a stance on trying to speak too much. That means that you're a good listener, and that's needed when it comes to this type of space. So I love that you're a great listener and you don't speak as much, because when you do speak, it's going to hold more weight because you are speaking. So it makes a lot of sense. Your coaching style will be
talk just to talk. Okay.
exactly like, no, we don't want to be talking, just be talking. That's a lot of work. This vocal cords is overworked already. So I love that about your coaching style, and I think it will be is very effective. So please keep that.
Yes.
Please keep that. So you said that literature is very important, and I think that right now, literature is literally under attack. If you want to be honest, when you think about the world, everybody's either reading some things they shouldn't read, or they're putting things in places where they feel like it's not supposed to be there. I'm just interested to hear your take on the way the world is receiving literature right now and how it's being like kind of like shunned away, depending on where you are.
Yeah. I mean, when you brought that up, I thought of book bans. First and foremost. I do. To me, it's very problematic. Just in the way that it's been weaponized. I think that there are ways that you can, maybe direct a certain group, maybe elementary students or something, to maybe age appropriate things. But if you're trying to stop a certain group or stop everyone from accessing literature because you're afraid of how it portrays another group, or if you're trying to skew history, I mean, that's very problematic to me. So I do appreciate the fact that there is a bit of pushback for banned books, where people are readily supplying these books to the masses. And honestly, I just think that book bans are really silly in general, because it just piques interest and it makes people want to read said books even more,
Exactly.
I really like the fact that people are standing up for literature and standing up even just for free speech. I mean, if you want to, I think, stifle a society, the easiest way is just to take away books, right? Because they teach us about our history. They teach us about where we're going even, So I just think that literature is so important, and I'm really grateful that people are talking about it more. I'm just grateful that people are just reading in general, more. There's been a huge emergence of book clubs that are going on, and people are rediscovering their love of reading. Which I think is beautiful, because that's something that a lot of us really liked when we were young. But then as you get older, you're told, you're only supposed to be reading this type of book, or you're only supposed to have this type of interest. So it's really cool to see people like just taking on that hobby again.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see, because, being from our culture, a lot of times people would say only certain type of people read books, or, that's historic. Like we got in trouble for reading, like they killed you for reading. So I think it's very interesting to see this like emergence of us reading books and us writing books, because that's important. We got to have our narrative too. So I love that you're playing your role in the net too, that you're playing a role in making sure that those things are being executed to perfection. I'm saying perfection, you would know nothing is perfect, but to perfection of your standards.
I think it's very important for our stories to be told. When we look at the publishing landscape, it's predominantly white, and publishing is cutthroat as it is, like traditional publishing. And really what I want to see more of our stories, more women of color with their stories being told, their books on the bookshelves and thriving in the marketplace. That is just really what I want for my clients. A lot of my clients, might choose a self-publishing route. They may not want to do traditional publishing, and that's great too. I want to see their books thriving, and however they decide to publish their books, because we need our stories. Our stories matter, and they are worth something, and they deserve to be told.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about women of color, because for a long time, or just in general, we're kind of like hushed. We can be in a house full of people and people not hear us, or they don't listen to us. So the fact that a woman is taking the time to like take control of her narrative and even put it in word form so other women can find a way to do the same, I think that's very powerful and it's needed, because we struggle with that, and it comes out in different ways. It comes out in rage. It comes out in, just it's just not healthy, for us to not be heard. I know that's my biggest pet peeve. I'm like, if I'm speaking, I don't say much, but if I'm gonna speak, please listen. I need you to hear me. Just hear me now. Yes, like please just hear me. I know I don't talk that much now. But I love that. I love that you're focusing on women, because that our group of we cover this little sector of this world, but we do a lot. And I think that it needs to be told. The story needs to be told. So yeah. So tell me, when it comes to like writing, because you're an author too. So tell me about like what prompted you to write your book, or like how did that come about? You got time.
But I mean, I've been reading and writing since I was in elementary school, but I never really thought that I could write a book myself. I would
Mhm.
I had my own magazine when I was little. I mean, I was the author, editor, everything.
Wow.
It was like a one woman show. Okay, I did everything.
Love
And I was
it.
the only reader too. No one else read it, but it's just the fact that like I created something, and then I would like write stories with like a classmate, and we would swap our little segments back and forth. I think that's my first time that I was like really writing. But I mean, I got to high school and I was on like the newspaper team or newspaper staff, things like that, and I started to really take interest in journalism, things like that. And I was told by a family member that that's a nice hobby, but like you can't do that for real. And so I was like, okay. So then I just kind of went down like the healthcare track that I felt like I was supposed to go down. But after doing that for about 7 years, I was like, well, wait a second. Yeah, I like it. Yes, it's proving, or it's providing a way for me to provide for myself. But it doesn't like light me up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the pandemic where I realized, okay, I can do something different. I started taking like writing courses, and then I was introduced to a book coaching certification program, and they kind of posed it as like, okay, well, what if you got paid to read books every day? And I'm like, I could do that. I really
Yeah.
like that. And at the time, I was a beta reader as well, which just meant that I would read manuscripts that were like in their infancy, just to provide my feedback. So I had been doing that for a while, and I was getting consistent feedback that like what I was giving the writer was helping them. So I was like, okay, I mean, I could do this. I can like get paid to read and provide feedback on books. And then around that time, I started like putting my own writing out there for publication. And that's when I was really like, okay, well, I can get paid to write articles. Like, so you can do this. Like, there is such a thing as being a freelance author and being successful and earning an income. And that was a huge eye opener for me because I lived my whole life thinking that writing is just a hobby. Like, you can't make a career out of it.
All because of a word.
Yes.
All because of someone said a word.
Mm-hmm.
It shifted your entire path.
Yep.
Wow. That's what I'm saying. People don't understand how powerful those small little statements. Just because it's not possible for you, don't mean it's not possible for me. and it takes a move like a pandemic to cause people to be shaken up or be shooketh, so you can understand that like this whole thing can stop in a minute. Like it can stop at any moment. And I love that God allowed the pandemic to happen, because it's almost as if he used it as a shifting of like authority. Like that's how I feel. Like it basically made people feel like, okay, if I'm very near death, I better like make this shift real quick. Or it's almost like you put everything in order from that one little stop. That's how I feel about it. And I love that happened for you, because and then all the things started coming to you.
Yeah.
You found the certification. Like everything started coming to you at the right time.
Yes. Timing
Wow.
is huge. Because maybe if I had gotten a revelation earlier, maybe I would have just kind of sat on it, did anything. But it became dire for me once I had my son. I had him at the very start of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just shifted. It was just like, I have to do something different. I want him to be able to look back on my life and see that his mom took a chance, on her own gifts, that she believed in her gifts. Like, she didn't wait for other people to believe in it. She was like, this is something that I have to do, and I cannot rest until my stories are out there. I can't rest until other women's stories are out there, and so I don't think I would have had that sense of urgency had I not had him, or even just if I wasn't married. I don't think that I would. Maybe I still would have just kind of like been coasting, just kind of chilling, diddly daddling. And that's why it took my first book like 10 years to write, because I just kind of took my time with it. But now it's like, okay, it's go time. Like, we have to make it happen now in this short amount of time that God gives us,
Yeah, because we don't know how much time we have. And I love that you talked about your time in healthcare, because those years helped you to get to this mindset as well. And then speaking of your beautiful son, I love him. He's so sweet.
Yeah.
Your son is kind of a brief reminder of, whenever you were a child, you understood what you wanted to do. We know already.
Yep.
Like, it's not like everybody think they have to find a purpose. It's like, no, your purpose is to bring people to Christ through your giftings, right? That's the overarching purpose for us all.
Yeah.
But he gives us a lane and he gives us gifts. And we know about them early, like in childhood, but then the world snatches them.
Yes.
So it's almost like we have to be very cautious, or very very intentional about nurturing that creative side of our mind and in our imagination, because that's our problem solver. And it also helps us to have childlike heart posture, where we receive what God says and we believe it, and we don't worry about the how, we worry about the who.
Yes.
So,
and I really love that you mentioned that, like, my time in healthcare, kind of shaped this journey that I'm on, because I'm a believer that, like, nothing is wasted. God is able to meet us exactly where we are and help, fulfill our purpose. So my time in healthcare was really special. I mean, I met a lot of amazing people, and I heard a lot of amazing stories that have helped shape my creative side. I've been exposed to just different types of worlds, like through these people that I've met. It all works. It all works together.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since we're talking about God, tell me what role he plays in your life.
Wow. God is, for one thing, I would say this has been, like, to be fully transparent. I've had to get to a place where I'm surrendering my gift back to God.
Yeah.
That's something that I struggled with. Because to me, being a writing is just like the truest part of who I am. There are some people who are like, oh, what's my purpose? Like, what am I really good at? And for me, I didn't feel like I had ever had to ask those questions, because I just knew.
Yeah.
Reading, that's just me. Like, we go together like this.
Yeah.
But lately, I've just kind of been feeling like God's telling me, like, okay, well, you have to surrender it to me. Like, I gave you this gift, and you have to use it to glorify me. And so really, I mean, God has always just been like the forefront, the head, of everything that I do. But it's just interesting now, like, having to be like, okay, well, I'm not fully in control. I have to surrender my control. I have to surrender my plan. I have to surrender my timeline.
Everything.
It's been an interesting journey. I'm not gonna lie.
And what's crazy? That's the first of many. Like, the minute you said yes to Christ, that was the first surrender. You going through your process and getting to the breaking point where you want to start the business and that was another surrender, because we're focused on, like, what we think how it should look for real. Like, that really is something that we all fall victim to. Just even last year, like, I almost quit coaching last year because he was about to be I was about to be done, because I felt like I've been putting in this work for over 10 years, like, and I'm not where I felt I should be financially and just in general in business. Like, I felt like I should be further along. And so last July, I was in a space where it was just like, look, God, hey, white flag. I need help. And that's when he made me go on like a sabbatical. I always go on a sabbatical around that time anyway, but he wanted me to start in August. I started in July 21st, I think. I started early, and I stayed on it for 3 months. But in that time in the wilderness, he called me to the wilderness basically. And so, and during that time, I had to really just like listen to his word, talk to him, focus on, doing things that I love doing other than coaching. And just like be in his space and his presence. And then he reminded me of why I can't leave my post. But the surrendering it's a reoccurring thing. It's gonna happen often. And that's how you know you're in his will too, because the fact that you feel prompted to do that is letting you know that you are in the right space.
Yes.
When you don't feel that, you might need to check your ego.
Yeah.
Because it's a surrender every day.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
Every single day. Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to hear that you are in a you're in the surrender pose. And and he's gonna speak to you though. You're gonna see like how I will speak directly to you when it comes to coaching. It's amazing to see him work through you in real time. That is probably the greatest gift. Like I kid you not, the greatest gift is like seeing. I'm not saying these words, Michelle. They coming out. They just flowing out. And you see the person across from you shoulders go from up here to down here. Greatest feeling in the world. But I can't do that if I'm not attached to him. So, and it's hard, but he always takes care of us. Like, even if you don't have what you think you should have, he always provides. So I can't be mad. I can't be mad at all. I'll be like, look, I'm at peace now. I'm going to take this peace over money any day.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for sharing that with me. That is just so
No
encouraging
problem.
to my spirit.
No problem. I believe it too. That's why I had to share, because we in the same space, and I know it can get kind of testy when you are working with people. So it's an interesting role, but I wouldn't choose anything else. Yeah.
That's how you know you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it's difficult, you're like, well, I'm still pressing on and I'm still getting joy. Joy.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of that, like surrendering things like that, I believe that out of that comes standards and different like, kingdom principles that we exude daily. So can you tell me like what is your standard for life? Like how do you kind of go about living your life?
It's always my goal to live a life of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to compromise my morals just to fit in or just to be in a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I felt like I struggled with in the past. I kind of felt like I had to maybe water myself down and not show up as my full self, not show that I was this passionate about writing or reading, or, I kind of felt like, okay, it's not cool to love literature this much, or, oh, they're going to think I'm a book nerd, or they're going to think I'm this and that. I'm like, okay, I'm way past that now.
Mm-hmm.
I really just, a standard for me is showing up as my full self, my full awkward self sometimes.
Yeah.
And being okay with it. But in the business side, I would say that for me, I don't want to say that I only want to read books or work with people that are writing books that I would read. But there has to be the content, I guess, can't be something that I just don't feel comfortable with. I can't work shoulder to shoulder with someone for months at a time when, whatever they're writing, doesn't inspire me, or if I know that it's just harmful and problematic, so that's my standard for my business. I can't work with everybody, and I'm not for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's a life goal. I mean, a life hack and a business hack. Like honestly,
Mm-hmm.
You can't say yes to everything, because what you attach your name to, you attached your name to.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you have that you go off the basis of integrity, because at the end of the day, people will sell their soul for fame, or they'll sell their soul for just a month of whatever. So it's good to hear that you stand on integrity, because that's the most important thing. And if you'll do that in dark, you'll do it in public. So that I would only want to work with somebody who's like that, because that's definitely a big principle or characteristic that's needed in this world.
Yeah.
You spoke on authenticity too, so I love that you said and showing up awkward sometimes, because I'm definitely a big kid. I feel like I was born I'm 36, but I'm 5 in real life. So can you tell me how being a wife and a mother has like really kind of shifted your mindset about how you are, like your identity? How has that impacted your identity?
I mean, prior to having my son, I do feel like I was a bit of a people pleaser. Not even a
Mm-hmm.
bit. I was a huge people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I'm still working on even now. I like to say that I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
But really having my son really made me realize, like, okay, who am I living for here? Like, whose approval am I living for? You know, I
Mm-hmm.
always have to think there's another little person who's looking up at me. And, you know, I want him to see my interactions with people. I want him to see me speak up for myself and advocate for myself. And so it really just gave me the confidence to just do what I'm here to do and not really
Mm-hmm.
worry about other people's opinions so much like I had in the past. Same thing with being married too. I mean, being married to someone like Chris, I feel like you can't be anything but brave because he shows me what bravery looks like every day. He
Mm-hmm.
is such a go-getter. He is like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I can by any means necessary. Like, I'm going to figure out if there's a problem, I'm going to find the answer. And that has really inspired me too, you know, to chase after my dreams. You know, Chris is always like, you only have just a small amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what are you doing with it? You know, it's a travesty, you know, to have all of these gifts and just think that there's a whole bunch of time that you have left, because, you know, you just never know, you know? So you
Yeah,
have to like live in the now and do the things now. Don't
you
put it
do.
off. And so seeing him and how he lives, it definitely inspires me to, you know, to chase after my dreams.
Yeah. And that's why choosing well is important.
Yes, it
That is
is.
why you gotta choose somebody, like, for real. Because I think a lot of women, and I'm gonna ask you about this. I think that a lot of women feel like they should just be, waiting and being chosen. Now, I do agree with waiting and, like, letting him find you, but you still have to make a decision too. It's not just him choosing you; you're choosing him
Yes.
too. So when it came down to choosing someone like Chris, what did you see that made you choose him? What was it that stood out to you that made you choose him?
For me, it was like his work ethic. It was just something that I just had not seen.
Mm-hmm.
Even, I mean, because we met in college, and just seeing how he just approached like his future, how he approached his relationships with others, how he approached his relationship with Christ, his academics, I was just like blown away. I was like, this is next level
Right.
discipline. Okay. I need to take notes because I mean, I felt like I was pretty disciplined, but he takes it to another level at times. And so yeah, I just think that the discipline was a huge thing for me, and I just saw like how sure of himself. I guess his confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and also his confidence in what like he wanted to do in the future. I mean, of course, like that has evolved since we've met, but
Mm-hmm.
it was really encouraging to see someone who was like, you know what, this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna go after it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you mentioned discipline. And I love that you put those two things together, because I think a lot of people feel like they can have what they want, but they don't have to sacrifice anything, and discipline is not the key. When really it's the opposite. You're going to be sacrificing, and discipline is definitely the key.
Yeah.
Because motivation is not a real thing when it comes to certain areas.
Yeah.
It's about being disciplined and consistent, like across the board. If you can be disciplined and consistent, you can kind of get to a lot of different places.
Yes, you really can. And I like that you mentioned like motivation is just not, you can't depend on it.
Mm-mm.
You cannot, because if you do, then I mean, you're probably not going to get anywhere. And that's one thing that I've had to learn. It's like you have to show up even when you don't feel like it.
Mm-hmm. It's a
I
good
hate that
spark.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's a good spark. Motivation sparks. It's like it gives you that first, like, jump start. But yeah, you can be inspired. I always say you can be inspired, but motivation's not real. That's what I always tell my
Right.
students.
Sounds
Inspiration.
cute though.
It sounds
Sounds
cute. It sounds real cute. Hey, come holler at me after that first couple of weeks and see. Let's see if that motivation still got you going. But I want to ask you too about like your like friend circle, because you did say that you're a recovering people pleasing. I'm a recovering people pleaser as well. So, can you tell me about your experiences like when it came to friend circles and how that has evolved as well when it comes to your life now?
Definitely gotten to a place where for me it's more so like quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
I used to want to be liked by everyone, and if there was someone who didn't like me or just kind of on the fence about me, I would like go above and beyond to show them like, no, I'm a good person and you need to like me. You need to be my friend. Now I'm just not. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And it's really important for me to just kind of see people like that quote that says like when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Please.
Yes, because I was the type of person who was like, well, no, I mean they're like this with this person, but like no, they're not like that with me. That making excuses for people. I can't do it anymore. And I feel like it's important for me to be around people who inspire me, but also like pull the very best out of me. I don't want people around me who are just going to be like yes men and women.
Yeah.
Call out the things that need to be called out within me, but I also want you to be like pushing me higher, and encouraging me, because that's what I give. That's what I bring to my friendship. So I want the same thing.
Yeah, you sound like the strong friend because yeah,
Ooh,
the strong friend. We tend to we give a lot, and sometimes
yes.
we don't allow people to pour back into us because we don't feel like it gives us anything. Sometimes, if I'm being
Mm-hmm.
real honest, it's almost like that's all you got from me. That's not helping. That's not
No,
helping me.
seriously.
I
It's
need something
not.
else.
Seriously. I'm just like the type, like I give and I give. I'm a really good listener.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really empathetic, and I just meet people where they are. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really frustrating for me when when my friends don't always do the same thing for me. And so once I see like that little inkling that like, oh, you don't have the capacity to hold space for me when I'm really going through something. So I'm just not even going to go to you for that,
Yeah.
and then I just end up holding on to all of like these big emotions and these big feelings. And like, it's so hard. Like I want to be able to share that with the people in my life. But
Yeah, that's why God gave us the gift of writing, though. And I'm gonna be honest with you, because this is what I was getting at. It seems like we're in these spaces, like, and a lot of people may not understand the weight because we're so responsible. So they feel like we can handle everything and that we don't need help. When in fact we're screaming for help, um, and when we do get assistance, it's not where we need it to be. So I think that that's probably why God gave us the gift of writing too, because it's an outlet. We still have our support. They may be able to support us in certain spaces, but then us being able to go in the room by ourselves and sit for hours and like get it out is going to be one of the things that keeps us sane and keeps us in a good headspace to be able to do what we do best.
mention, because for me, I mean, I write nonfiction too. Like, I write articles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But even just in my fiction writing, so my book writing, it's me being able to process my life through my characters. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, it shows up in ways that I'm not even expecting. I'm just thinking like, oh, this character's dealing with this. And then the deeper I get into that character, I'm realizing that like, oh, I'm processing something maybe from my childhood or something that, and it's really amazing, like
Mm-hmm.
how therapeutic writing has been, and how I'm able to meet myself on the page and heal from a lot of things, but even process like the good things too.
Yeah.
All of that shows up in my writing one way or another.
It's beautiful, and I thank God for it every day. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, friends, y'all gotta help us.
Please, please be a safe space.
Be a safe space. Okay, so Michelle, I love that you are a book coach. And I think that a lot of people may not know what that entails and some of the services that you offer. So would you tell us about what that is and what you offer?
Yes, definitely. A book coach is essentially a writing coach, but they work with authors who are writing books. There are some that, um, you know, only work with authors who are like writing nonfiction, like memoirs, things like that, self-help books. And then there's some I work with fiction authors. I happen to work with fiction authors. So if it is not real or based off of real life, then that's the type of book that I would work on. I can come in and help during any stage of the writing process. So there are some clients who just need help brainstorming an idea for a novel. I can help you kind of flesh out the ideas for that. If you have already written maybe just a few chapters and you need some help with like mapping out the plot, I can come in and help with that as well. If you already have a manuscript that you finished and you need someone to read everything, provide editing, so line edits, then I can come in and give you like a full picture on like what is working well with the manuscript and what you need to improve. If you are ready to pitch the book to an agent, or if you're ready for self-publication, I can come in and do some fine-tune editing there too. But really just anything that you need help with the book writing process, I can help with. If you need accountability, if you need someone to like,
It's needed.
keep you on track. Yes. Keep you on track. You said that you were going to write this amount of words in this week. I can come in and make sure that, you're keeping the promises that you made to yourself.
It's definitely needed, especially the accountability piece, because people say some things and then they be like, well, ain't nobody looking. So,
Yes,
so they
exactly.
need you, Michelle. They need you.
Yes, I needed me. I mean, it took me so long to write my book, and it really, because, I wasn't really answering to anyone, I could just kind of write when I wanted to write, but I just think like, wow, like what could have happened, had I had someone that, can offer that support and accountability that I needed, the book probably would have been out by now.
Mm-hmm. So you have to live it first and then you can teach it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's so great. I'm excited for you. I cannot wait for people to tap into what you're doing.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, you said something about being higher and it takes you higher. So I want to ask you, like, if there were no barriers, there were no detours and things like that. I say the sky is the starting point. So could you tell me what the dream would be if we were starting at the sky?
Listen, I would be writing books every day. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would be doing that full time. I would be writing for publications online for sure in the mental health, motherhood space, which I'm kind of doing that now.
Yeah.
But I would be doing it like on a larger scale. I would be, like I said, writing these books. I would be at somebody's cafe, maybe my own cafe actually, my little bookstore / cafe.
Yeah.
I'd be there reading and writing, helping my clients, talking with other young girls about the joys of writing, and trying to mold that earlier, because that's something I'm passionate about. It's like stepping into your love of writing earlier the better. That's what I would be doing if like money weren't like an object or anything, or like a barrier. That's what I'd be doing.
The reason why I asked that is because I want it to be recorded. I want it to be documented. No, because like the things that are in there, like we always think about the how, and when that's removed, it's easy to say it. Now it's just reverse engineering it and doing it.
Not you doing this to hold me accountable.
No, but I asked everybody that. Look, I asked everybody that because I'm like, we all have it. Like every single one of us have that. I want to do this, but it's something in there like it's in the way. So I had to at least ask.
I appreciate it. Now when you look back like years down the line, I'm gonna be like, remember when you said that, Katrina? Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'll say, look, we at the cafe now.
Yeah.
Ribbon cutting. That's what we doing.
Love that.
Well, tell me what you got going on next. What's coming up?
For me, so I've written a book. I'm in the process of shopping around for a agent, because you need an agent to get you in the door if you're doing traditional publishing. So that's what I'm focusing on, is getting my first book baby out in the world. That's my next big goal. But other than that, really, it's just working with my clients and really just building my client profile for my coaching business.
That's amazing. Would you like to tell us the name of the book and everything, or do you want to wait on that?
It still has a working title, and it's probably going to change, but for right now, it's called Following Rivers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's beautiful. I love that. Well, I can't wait. I cannot wait to put it on this shelf up here. Put it on my shelf and read it. And read it. It's no better feeling than seeing it in your hand. So I cannot wait for you to have that.
Sick of me when that day happens.
I'll be like, record it all. Record it all. For real. Because just for you, it don't even have to be for everybody. But yeah, record that. You want to make sure you have that moment. Open it in the box, everything. Document your journey, please. Because you took that from a seed that was planted to an actual piece of a tree in your hand. So literally. So,
that was a good one.
But yeah, Michelle, I am very proud of you and super excited for the work that you're going to do with your own books, and then also the handprint or the imprint you're going to put on all these different books that you're going to touch through all your clients. This is going to be so amazing. I'm so excited for you. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate the opportunity. This is my first podcast ever, so thank you so much for
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, that's why I've been cheesing so hard the whole time. I'm just so excited to be here. So thank you so much for just always being a source of encouragement and inspiration for me. But just creating this platform, because I'm just so inspired by the work that you're doing. I'm proud of you. Just how you're proud of me, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Chasing after your dreams. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my story.
Thank you. I received that. I really do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.